So welcome to another video of the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. This is another thing, like I said, this is a narrative they try to run, okay? And they've been doing this, again, in order to have me under surveillance and stuff like that, right? It's to try to convey this idea, or this notion that I'm jealous and this and that stuff, right? Now, again, uh, uh, people who know me know that I am not a jealous type of guy, right? Now, the situation with me and my two youngest, we've been together for quite a while, right? And again, being a TI, how they try to manipulate you emotionally and stuff like that, and then how they try to use her when they figure or they believe that they have me emotionally wound up, they use her to try to cause arguments and try to cause a fight and stuff like that. This is what they do. Why? To hide the fact that, again, what I'm not 100% sure, but I know, like, for example, with my older son and his mother, that he's not my son, right? So in ways that, in another way, that by manipulating me emotionally to try to get me locked up, or have you, so she can get away with the lie in terms of whether whether my son is mine or not, right? And because, again, they've been, particularly our women, have been conditioned to see black men as the enemy. You hear them do these false narratives about black men being the greatest threat to black women, again, which is all a lie, white feminist lie created by the white feminists. And those who control the white feminists are white men, right? White, particularly white democratic, white liberal, racist men, corporations. Okay? So when they talk these narratives, again, you can go look at the truth. Go look at the data. 70% of all domestic dispute or domestic violence start with women. Women putting their hands on men. Okay. Now let's look at who are the biggest in terms of group of people who engage in domestic violence. Right. One, police officers. Two, military service men and women. Okay. Three, white men and white women, right? Not black men and not black women. So this false narrative and this false lie, again, is how they keep manipulating us. And I just uploaded a video and I said, my people are the only group of people in this country who cannot think for themselves. That they have to have other group of people thinking for us, which is absolutely true. Now, came over here. I just called Pam to let her know that I just got here, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, because I have a dinner tonight." And I'm like, "Okay," but she didn't tell me she had a dinner tonight, right? Again, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? But and the reason why she didn't tell me is because she wanted me to, again, stay, and she knows I was going to stay because of how she put, the fact that how, like I said, for me to come here, get the keys, and then have to get up very early in the morning to come back over here, it doesn't make any sense. So I might as well. Spend the night, right? It just makes it easier for me. It makes it easier for her also. But the fact that she had a dinner tonight that she didn't mention to me, she told me about the dinner for Thursday night. So now she's telling me the dinner for Thursday night is canceled, but tonight she got a business dinner, right? But again, and trying to play up on my memory, right? Because what she told me, and again, I remember certain things, and again, this is how they also try to test your memory and stuff like that, which is just fine, because they know the majority of the time I usually forget a lot of stuff, right? So anyhow, she told me that her business dinner was Thursday night, not tonight. She didn't say she had any type of plan tonight, but because of the situation today with the air quality and stuff like that, again, using that and using certain language, and I know, but like I said, it just makes more sense for me to be, and she knows that. Like I said, she was very vehemently against me spending the night Saturday night when we went out, and then we came back in the house, right? She was literally upset. Whereas the prior week when she was away, I ended up spending 2 extra days here. It was fine. She said nothing. It was fine. Nothing at all. Even tonight, even today when earlier I spoke to her, she's like, "That's fine." And I'm like, "Really?" So I already know. But again, to try to paint me as some type of jealous guy, so this is what they do. Well, again, look at the reality, right? Look at the reality, right? And anyway, if you're in a relationship with a person that you love, particularly you being a TI, how they emotionally manipulate you, it's very hard for you to, um, you know, create defense mechanism, particularly emotionally, right? Because you don't know what's going on. And so this is why, like I said, I study what's going on so that way, at some point, I can take back that emotional control, right? So again, with the false narrative that they do. And it shows you as a TI who the liars are. So I keep telling you, if you're a TI, do not believe the narratives. They're the liars. They're the deceivers. They're the ones who are committing the crime. Okay? Yes, they may have manipulated you, and that's not your fault, right? But it's how they do things in America. How, particularly if you as a TI, and particularly if you're a black person, particularly a black man or a black woman, right? The narrative is going to always be negative against you, and particularly and how they play black men and black women against each other is to get them to believe that black men are negative and we're this and that, and white men are such and such. You know, if you go look, I was talking to my ex the other night, and I said to her, and she didn't want to hear it. Right? She was like, "Oh, I don't want to hear it. Interracial relationship." And I said to her, I said, first of all, there's not a lot of interracial relationship in America. That's a lie. What they feed you on the media, that's a lie, particularly within black people, right? So we know that, and it's factual that you can go look and see for yourself, right? Do the research. More black men are married to other groups of women than black women, right? Now, it's not to say that black men don't love black women, okay? It's just that more black men married to other groups of women than black women married to other groups of men, okay? Remember, also, there are 2.5 million more black women than there are black men in America, okay? Now, I'm telling my ex that she wanted to be, she's like, that's a lie, that's a lie, that's a lie. But this is what black women love to do. And I tell her, I said, you have that same way about you, but it's not your fault. You use your anecdotal experience and thinking that it's the norm. It is not the norm. I said, when you were younger, because she was, she was very attractive. When you was younger, before she met me, she used to date older white men. I said, well, why do you think that? Why is it that you being as young as you are, dating these older white men, you were in your early 20s, they were in their 30s, they're driving their nice cars, in their nice business suit, what have you. Why? Because they understand the dynamics of power. They understand that they rule this country, and economically, they're on top. They've done everything to make sure that black men, the vast majority of black men, are not economically viable to our very own women. So this is why they can come amongst us as a group of people. They can engage in what again. It's a form of violence when you're manipulating people in such a way that where you cause animosity and hatred within that group between the men and women. That is a form of violence, but we don't look at it as that. Okay. So when I started really talking and put things into context and really break it down historically, then she began to understand. She began to understand, right? So we as a people, we live in the here and now. We don't think about the future of our children. We don't think about the future of ourselves because we have not been taught to think like that also, right? Whereas we used to prior to the civil rights movement. But after the civil rights movement, what the white races has done is one, remove the jobs within the urban cities or urban areas, okay, to basically create mass poverty. Because you can go do the research prior to the civil rights movement, black people in the urban areas had jobs. Okay, the vast majority of black people were employed. The vast number of black men and women were married. Black children grew up in two-parent household, right? But after the civil rights movement passed, again, nothing that happens to us as black people in this country is by accident. It's not by act of God. It's by an act that was created by the white racists, the ruling class in this country. But what's happening is that they have created this war against black men and black women, using lies to condition our women into believing or having a delusional mindset, right? So again, when you see black, and I will make a distinction between black women and European women. So when I'm talking about the dysfunctional behavior, dysfunctional way of thinking, I'm talking about Europeans, whether they're black, whether they're the men or they're the women, right? But when you look at how the behavior of we as a people are, the vast majority of us, when you look at how the vast majority of us are in poverty or working class, we're just surviving. We're not living, we're surviving. Okay? You have to understand the dynamics, the mindset that is being created. So I talk about menticide, right? And the falsification of our consciousness by menticide. Go and read the book by Dr. Bobby E. Wright, and the falsification of the African consciousness by Dr. Amos Wilson. Okay. Then after you read those two books, go and read Dr. Frances Cress Weston, the ISIS paper, Keys to the Colors, right? And in her in her book, she's basically focusing on why Europeans, the Yaruga people, behave and think in the manner in which they think, right? And coincidentally, back in the 1940s and 50s, there was a black psychiatrist. His name was Frank Phantom, and he wrote two books, The Wretched Earth and Black Skin, White Mass, which breaks down the way how black people are conditioned to think and behave living under a system of white racism. Okay? And because religion, it is so ingrained in the minds of black people, right, that we are basically being conditioned into passivity. We're basically conditioned into waiting on Jesus and believing in Jesus. Because I would say, even though I'm pro-black, pan-Africanist, when people mention the word Jesus to me, the picture that I think about is a white man, blonde hair, blue eyes. Though I know Jesus is not a historical figure, right? But that's the image that have been ingrained in our minds through Hollywoods, through Hollywood, through books, right, magazines, stuff like that. But when you go and look at European history, right, prior to the 1500s, the images of Jesus were that of a black man. Okay, and even you go to Europe today, they will go into church where you have a picture of a black Madonna and a black baby Jesus, and will come out of there and still tell you that Jesus is white. Okay, so it's not just us as black people who've been psychologically manipulated and conditioned, but also white people. Understand that. Okay, so I'll talk to you guys in the next video.